Welcome to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And welcome to the Giants-Colts preview, the first true win and you are in game for the New York Giants. It's a game that they flat out should win. You're winning, you're in, and there's no excuses for losing to this team. Justin, how are you doing?
Yeah, Bobby Skinner, really pumped that the Giants have a win and you're in opportunity at home. Love that they're able to do it at home. Love that the fans have a chance to show up. And, last time that Wink Martindale kind of called fans out and saying, let's get there, let's get loud and continue your New Year's Eve celebrations into the next day. The last time that he called for that, it was the Baltimore Ravens game, and the team showed out. So I'm looking forward to showing out for these New York Football Giants on Sunday, and hopefully we'll be celebrating a Victory Monday pod with the freaking playoff berth. Can you believe it? A dangerous P word. We're saying it, and hopefully it can come true.
And I love that the first time we win and you're in is like probably the worst team on our schedule besides the Texans. So where there's no excuses to win. We're not facing the full strength Eagles and win and you're in. No, this is a game the Giants should absolutely win. Before we get into this preview, Justin, this episode is brought to you by some special people, right?
Yeah.
Special people that I almost forgot to pull up. We got Kevin Brannigan. He's a man again. Matt Paulson reminds me of Grant Paulson. Grant Paulson's a very annoying person who covers the Commanders. Theodore Spillman. We're gonna be spilling them drinks, man. Quinn Haggard. Haggard is just such a cool word. And then just regular Chris. Robert Hoyman. Tanner Mitchell. Stephen Pannone. I think we already said all those names, but we're saying it again. Justin, who are these people?
Patreon.com/TalkingGiants. That's where those wonderful people went. Just going to leave it at this.
Let me pitch it to them. I actually want to pitch it to them. Patreon.com/TalkingGiants, $2 a month. 1, Tony Award voting is now open for Patreon voters, so get in and get at that. 2, I know what Justin was going to say. You're going to get a sticker. Cool. You're going to get a friend, get chances at t-shirt raffles. Cool. But come celebrate Sunday night with us.
Yes.
For the playoffs. That is, usually the live stream aspect is to me is the least of it. This week, it's not. So patreon.com/TalkingGiants, $2 a month. All right, Justin. Adoreé, Jackson, and McKinney could be returning to this Giants lineup. McKinney, it looks like a little bit of a long shot, but he practiced. He was, taken off the NFI list. He's saying he's working to get there. So I don't know if McKinney's going to be there. He says
he could play. He says he wants to play and he can play, but I don't think it's going to happen because typically you look at just the progression of these guys and how they practice, and if the media members aren't saying that they're being ramped up to play, then I don't think he's going to play. But it's cool to see that he can be ready.
Well, and the fact that he's going to be ready for the playoffs, it'd be a shock if he's not. And now Adoreé Jackson, first time he's practiced since the injury. He's been on limited since Tuesday. So he is on track to play for the Giants this week. And I don't want it to be understated how important these guys are for this defense.
Yep.
They are so important for this defense. And I got just some numbers of those guys on the team, those guys not. Well, points per game, which I'm not going to put all points per game on them. 18.7 points per game with them, 27 points per game without them. Completion percentage, where I will draw some of these conclusions. 58.2% with them, 66.6% without them.
And by the way, I think that difference right there, Bobby, that 58% completion rate and 66%, that's the difference between the Giants being one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league, at allowing the least amount of completion percentage to, I would say maybe 66% is middle of the pack, maybe even a little bit below average.
Yep, yards per attempt, 6.7 to 7.1. And this number was staggering when I was putting together these numbers, Justin. Red zone touchdown percentage. Now, the Giants are still a top 5 red zone defense. With those guys, 35% to 72%. Over double. That's the difference between winning and losing. I'm going to keep quoting Al Pacino as we get closer to the playoffs.
Living and dying.
That's, the inches are all around us. That's the difference between living and dying. 35% to 72%. One, Adoreé Jackson is essentially the only good cornerback on this team, so that's huge. But Adoreé, with the way he played last year and this year, was elite cornerback play as far as shutting down the other opponent. Does he create turnovers? No, but he is at top of the league at shutting down the other team's opponent. And That changes with what Wink Martindale does, where he likes to stack the box. Hasn't been able to do that the past couple games.
Has played a lot more too high the last couple weeks as well, when they've played a lot of single high throughout the whole season. This should be a game with Adoreé Jackson coming back, we hope, and also just playing a bad Colts offense. This should be a game where the Giants are putting a shit ton of guys in the box and we're playing with single high, right?
You flip it, and they've basically flipped it on their head about the single high versus two high coverages. I really think if Adoreé Jackson and definitely McKinney too, those guys play and they had avoidable injuries. So people will say like, well, injuries are part of the game. Yeah, you know what? Adoreé Jackson returning punts and an ATV accident shouldn't be a part of the game.
No,
we're not talking about if we had Sterling Shepard. We're talking about these two guys that shouldn't have been injured. Like, I think the Giants are 10-5.
Yes, they are. They are a 10-win team.
Because do you stop Justin Jefferson and Terry McLaurin with Adoreé Jackson? No, you don't. No, you don't. But you stop them from doing the damage that they did, man. So you get Adoreé Jackson out. You have one good corner on this team. You allow Fabian Moreau to go back, covering wide receiver twos, which he had success doing. It's a domino effect. It allows you to stack the box. When McKinney's back, you can have a safety that has the range and the instincts, not just like Pinnock where he just has the range. McKinney's better at coming down and filling the run.
Julian Love is not really a deep safety by trade either, so that stupid silly play that he had against Philadelphia maybe doesn't happen because maybe he's not put in that situation. There is a huge domino effect to these two guys coming back, and at least for this week, I'm going to take it as a huge, huge W and a huge, huge victory that Adoreé Jackson will be back. Think about this too, Bobby. We haven't had a single game this year where Xavier McKinney, Azeez Ojulari, Adoreé Jackson, Leonard Williams, these guys haven't been on the field. The Giants' defense hasn't been a full unit, a full healthy unit this year. All those guys have not been on the field at the same time as each other. So getting those guys back at this point of the season will undoubtedly be huge.
I'm telling you, you get those guys back, and this is a defense that's to be reckoned with. It really is. You get that pass rush up front, like you said. We'll talk about our pass rush here in a minute. You get those guys back on the back end, man, and you are cooking. You are cooking. But let's talk about the Colts, Justin. They are the number 130. They're the number 31 offense in the NFL, and they just went to Nick Foles, and they can't block. Again, I said at the top, there is no excuse to lose this game. Okay, there's tough games. This is a game that no matter how bad you play, you should be able to pull out a win versus Colts team because their offense is so
and that's why. It's because their offense is that bad. If there's a game in the NFL to win, it's when you're playing a really, really bad offense. And their defense is all right, but let's talk about their offense first.
Yeah, again, their defense is not really that bad, but their offense is very, very bad. The only offense worse in the NFL is the Broncos, and they don't even have like the weapons that the Broncos have that can worry you. And then, as bad as Russell Wilson's been, it's like, well, Russell Wilson can do something in the game. Nick Foles is not going to do that anymore at this point of his career. They don't protect the quarterback, like just flat out. Like they are 31st in sacks. The Giants with Azeez Ojulari, by the way, their sack rate, it would be second highest in the NFL right now at 3.6 per game. They give up 3.7 sacks per game. And the Giants, even just all year long, not just with Azeez Ojulari, they're the number one pressure team in the NFL. They have the highest pressure rate in the NFL. So this is a game where they won't make you pay. The Vikings will make you pay for some blitzes. The Colts are not going to do that. Nick Foles was bad throwing the ball deep. All of his interceptions came on 10-plus throws. He was sacked 7 times. Like, he could not get anything going besides quick game and didn't even really get that going. And this is a game where Wink should, be aggressive with his blitzes, but when you rush 4, man, you got to abuse these cats. Like, every single one of these, they got to be taking turns. Like, our pass rushers got to be taking turns. They got to be mad at each other that, damn, I had a great move, but Kayvon got there before me. Or Leonard got there before me. Like, they got it. This pass rush should be dominant in this game.
Yeah, and I think coming off of a 3-interception performance, too, and making yet another quarterback change, the Colts, I think this is going to be a game where Jeff Saturday is going to want to come out and run the ball. The Giants have a bad run defense. We're going to want to come out and play smash-mouth football and run the ball. Do not let the Colts sustain drives and beat you and score points, even if it's on a somewhat of an inconsistent basis. Don't let the Colts beat you by running the ball down your throats. Do not let that happen. I know you're a bad run defense. Don't let that happen.
Yeah, and they're a bad rushing offense too. You know, like you at some point you got to nut up, and they run mostly zone. They run 60% zone, 40% gap. So they're not a team like the Vikings where they just don't run gap runs. But like they have 4.1 yards per carry in the rushing offense, and that's including a season that had Jonathan Taylor for a good part of it.
Right.
So this rushing duo of Zach Moss and Deion Jackson. By the way, fun fact: Deion Jackson played with what 3 players on the New York Giants, Justin?
Deion Jackson played on the New York Giants. That's the first
He played
question.
with 3 New York Giants players in college and high school.
In college and high school. Dexter Lawrence is my guess. But
we asked this guy about it on the interview. He played high school with Andrew Thomas, and he played college with Daniel Jones and Devery Hamilton at Duke. We put him on the draft preview pod.
Wow.
Who gets the jersey swap? Andrew Thomas, Daniel Jones, or Devery Hamilton?
Devery Hamilton
threw the ball to him pretty good amount.
Devery Hamilton.
But here's the thing: is Thomas every time Deion Jackson makes a play, like quote tweets it, and it's like that. How you go, fam? So I'm going to lean Thomas.
You're going to lean Thomas.
Yeah. But yeah, they have a bad. Sorry, got off track there. They have a bad rushing offense. Like again, there's no excuses to have this team score more than 17 points.
No,
right?
Absolutely not.
Like there's no excuses, and I want a dominant performance. The Giants have been able to do that versus bad QBs. Nick Foles is immobile. I mean, you got to come after him all day long, and I don't think it's just rush with 4 because you can win with rushing with 4. But I think this is, and I think Wink will. This is a game, man, where you bring the party to them. Like they cannot protect. It's astounding that a team that has Quentin Nelson as guard just can't protect. Like it's even bringing Quentin Nelson's down. Like they can't protect, man. They have Bernard Raymond, that rookie left tackle out of Central Michigan, starting. He's not good. Braden Smith, he's not playing well. Like they are really bad protecting. So we got to kill these guys up front, dominate. I know I've said it like 25 times today, but it's true.
Yeah, and Michael Pittman on the back end, it's been disappointing to see how they've used him this year. His average depth of target is kind of low.
Well, they have Matt Ryan playing quarterback and Sam Ehlinger and then Nick Foles. Like
yeah,
they have these big deep threat receivers, him and Pierce, and it's like they have the king of underthrows playing quarterback for them.
Yeah, so it's been disappointing to see how Pittman hasn't been utilized. Obviously, you liked Alec Pierce coming out of Cincinnati, and then Jelani Woods though is the one guy who, kind of this unconventional, big, fast weapon that they do have that they'll probably line up on the outside and they can kind of line him up anywhere and everywhere. Jelani Woods is the one wild card that, he could take a big play and he can have the speed to kind of take it to the house. So Jelani Woods is the one guy that I'm kind of really circling on this Colts defense in terms of how do you match up against him, him being so big, so strong, so physical.
And that's basically what he's done for them since Granson, their starting tight ends, been hurt. Like he had 3 catches for 43 yards last week, 1 catch for 36 yards versus the Vikings, and then a few weeks before that versus Steelers, he had 8 catches for 90. So he is he's not a volume guy, but like you said, he is a take it up the seam, make a big play type guy. That's what we talk about him out of Virginia. The guy was a hell of an athlete, get him in space, especially with his size, and he's a good blocking tight end too. I don't know why they haven't played him much, honestly.
Every time there's been a game on national television, he's made like a really good catch or he's had a really good play, and then just like you said, they haven't played him outside of that, which is crazy. Yeah,
they've kind of built their offense to be like attack down the field, and then they get quarterbacks who don't fit. Like Matt Ryan this year. Now Nick Foles is in here, which is different, but even Sam Ehlinger's not gonna. Sam Ehlinger's only good attribute is his being able to be mobile and make plays.
Yeah, this is still an offense that's supposed to have Andrew Luck at quarterback, and Andrew Luck's not a quarterback.
Right. So, but end of the day, dominate on defense. Offensively, they are the number 25 scoring D, but they are better than the Colts' record looks and that scoring defense. Like they're 11th in passing, 20th in rushing on the year. Justin, they will stack the box. Like they are going to bring the safety down, which the Giants, these last 2 weeks have not faced stacked boxes. The Vikings didn't do it. The Commanders didn't do it. And then they are 7th best in the NFL at rushing yards per carry at 4.1. Again, this is a game where you put the game in Daniel Jones' hands. Put the game in Daniel Jones' hands because he can handle it. Okay, like can they get after the quarterback? Absolutely. Absolutely they can. But they don't blitz at all. They don't blitz at all, but they're 6th in sacks. They give up a high completion percentage with a low average depth of target. This is a game where, again, you work the quick game, but take your shots. Like put the game in Daniel Jones' hands. Do not come into this game just running into stack boxes over and over again.
No, Yannick Ngakoue, DeForest Buckner, and Kwity Paye. Have had solid years. Kwity Paye has only played 10 games. And he's healthy now. But DeForest Buckner has been wrecking havoc up the middle. So hey, Mark Lewinsky, John Feliciano, and whoever's playing at left guard, get ready to rock and roll with DeForest Buckner.
Buckner's the one that's going to make you pay, like you said. He's the one. He's the one who's like just awesome. But then people look at that and like, oh, that's why you got to be a little, careful in the passing game. That's why I'm like, you got to be careful in the running game because that's going to create the negative runs with the Giants' interior offensive line and then facing stacked boxes. So
this is a game, Bobby, where I'm not going to run afraid because I actually think over the course of since Jeff Saturday has become head coach, the Colts have had one of the best pass defenses in the league. There is a path to Saquon Barkley having a solid game here. And I look at my EPA tiers. The Colts have been pretty above average against the pass, and they've been a little below average against the run. And a stat that I was looking up this week, in wins, Saquon Barkley has 23 carries of 10-plus yards. In losses, Saquon Barkley has 5 carries of 10-plus yards. That's a pretty big difference there. The Colts have allowed 42 runs of 10-plus yards. That's the 11th least amount in the NFL, but 42 runs of 10-plus yards. I think if Saquon Barkley wants to be a guy that wants the ball in his hands in some of these big moments, we got to bang out some 10-plus yards this game. This has to be a game where I still want to see this offense get more explosive, maybe even match the 20-plus yard totals that we saw against the Vikings, where we had 5 or 6 plays of 20-plus yards that tied a season high with the Lions game. So I want to see this offense continue to build off positive momentum that they had in the Vikings game, except maybe even get a little bit more going on the ground here.
Yeah, but at this point, and this is not even game plan specific, the Giants need to be an offense that runs through Daniel Jones and not like they were for a stretch where it was successful, where it's like, we're going to pound the rock. We're going to run the rock. We're going to get under center, run 2-3 tight ends, and we're going to run the rock. They're not that team anymore.
But I wonder if they look at it differently, they may look at it as the Vikings were so bad in coverage, and the Colts are better. They just flat out they're a much better pass defense than the Vikings. So I do wonder if they are going to kind of revert back to their own ways, knowing the opponent and also knowing that you're going to be facing an offense that I don't always agree with play calling like this, but this is just the way the NFL goes. They're going to be play calling and approaching their offense knowing that they're playing a bad offense. I don't agree with it. I say go be aggressive, score 30 points. But do you agree with that? I know it's not what you would do, but do you think that
I think they could do that?
Can you see the Giants falling back into that?
I don't think that's the right thing to do, though.
I agree, and I agree.
Do not coach offense again. As much as we believe that this defense should dominate, it's like you coach your offense. That's how you lose games to the Colts, is by having that type of mindset.
I agree.
And they give a super high completion percentage and quick throws. Well, guess what? That's what Daniel Jones has been able to. The Giants' offense has done consistently well, and Stephen Gilmore is playing very well for him. I'll be interested to see how they line him up on Slayton and Hodgins. But you know what? They stack the box, so this is where you can kind of have some predetermined shot plays. Whereas like the Vikings and the Commanders, you have to see. You got to kind of read it post snap. And go through kind of go through what the defense is showing. With the Colts, they line up in single high. It's like, okay, this is a play where we are taking a shot at you.
Yeah. I hope they do
Darius
that.
Slayton. Like there's like when it's like, all right, they pressed up on Slayton, we are throwing a fade to Darius Slayton. So here's my thing: is when we talk about DeForest Buckner and how he can wreck the passing game, absolutely he can. But you know what? He can wreck the running game too. So don't. Play to your strengths. And I think right now, for the Giants, it's throwing the ball in early downs and running Saquon Barkley when it makes sense and when they are giving you favorable run fronts.
You know, the fourth down rushing touchdown that Saquon Barkley had was the only 10-plus yard run that he had on third or fourth down this entire year. Every single run has been on first and second down. Every single 10-plus yard run.
Well, the Giants have been in a million third and longs this year. So that kind of makes sense.
That is true. That is true. I just found that was fascinating. There wasn't even like a 3rd and 17 draw that Saquon Barkley took for 11 yards. That was the only one that he had last week.
Anything else you want to hit on Colts before we get into the segments?
No. Did you say that we have an interview?
No, we didn't. We didn't do an interview.
Okay, I thought you referenced that we had an interview, and I was about to tell you when we stopped recording that I don't have an interview that showed up anywhere. So, all right, I'm excited for Danny King.
I thought about doing an interview. I have Colts people, Justin, but
you have a Colts friend.
But I have like a couple of reporters for the Colts that, from the Simple Man Radio's days. But I was like, you know what they don't want to do is be breaking down the Colts at this time. It'd be like people asking us to come on, and like last year, it's like the Giants just suck. Like it's
Giants
Commanders,
Giants Washington football team last year. It's like, oh yeah, you want to come and preview this game? No, not really.
Yeah. All right. Let's bring on Danny King. All right, we now welcome to the program our weatherman. He'll be at the game, Daniel King. Danny, what's the weather looking like for this game?
I was nervous when I saw the weather for New Year's Eve because it's going to be awful in the city for the ball drop, so that's rather unfortunate. But for Sunday at the game, it's going to be beautiful. I think there might be some rain for the tailgate because I don't know what time it's leaving tomorrow, Sunday morning. So you might get some rain during the tailgate, but it'll clear out by the time kickoff happens. It's going to be 52 degrees. 52
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
People that go to New York City and watch that ball drop, and they deserve to have rain fall down upon them for the hours upon hours upon hours that they are standing there. They soil themselves.
Yes, it's the biggest waste of time.
I don't think anybody from New Jersey or New York goes to that though.
No,
right?
That's
100% tourist thing, 100%. Right?
There's probably some.
Do you know how many people show up for it though? So who is coming from where to see this? That's crazy. You deserve to have rain upon rain fall on you, and you deserve to soil yourself too. You deserve everything that comes with that decision.
I agree 100%. But yeah, it's going to be 52 degrees, partly cloudy, and then by the time the fourth quarter comes around, it's going to be clear, but it's going to be 52 degrees all day, and it's some light wind.
That's so
nice.
It's
going to be a beautiful day to watch the Giants clinch a playoff berth.
That's so nice. Thank you, Danny King.
You're very welcome.
Danny, you're winless in how many of your last Giants games that you've attended?
My record is 0-5-1 in Giants games. I last saw them win 2018 against the Chicago Bears in overtime.
And the crazy thing is I'm undefeated at Giants games I've attended, and the one game me and Danny King went to, they tied. So it was like, what is it called? The immovable object versus like an unstoppable force or whatever.
And I mean, that's what it is. So I'm planning on breaking the curse on Sunday. It's gonna be a great day to be alive, watch the Giants clinch a playoff berth, hopefully, and finally watch the Giants win a game for the first time since 2018. Because I'll be honest, I'm really sick and tired of going to that stadium and watching them lose.
Snacks may actually, and also our Talking Giants, listeners, they may find you and murder you if the Giants lose this game on Sunday because you were there.
I may avoid the tailgate on Sunday if I'm being honest, just for my own safety. I may not make it to the stadium.
I said it in a group chat a couple weeks ago, but if one of us does die, we have to make a pact that we will do the Harambe meme with like if Danny King dies, it's going to be like the Harambe, shouts from Happy Gilmore like in the sky meme.
I'm down with that.
This was a text message I missed.
And just make a lot of old school memes.
Yeah, I'm down with it.
And jokes. Being like, I'm not even going to say them because, all right.
Yeah, bad scenario. Let's not go there.
No, it's not that. That's stopping me.
Oh, okay. Danny, do you have trivia?
We do. So, first off, do you guys know who's leading the all-time series between the Giants and the Colts?
I'm going to say the Giants.
I'm going to say the Colts.
Justin's right. The Colts are leading 12-7. That's the all-time series.
Remember
record
guys
right
getting
there.
blown out on Monday Night Football versus the Colts? That sucked.
Yeah. That was awful. That was not fun. That was not fun. But the main question is, which New York Giant has the most solo tackles in a single game against the Indianapolis Colts? There is only one player, so don't go naming everyone.
I'm going to say Sean Williams.
I'm just going to look up this guy's stats from one game to see if it's him.
Oh, it also could be John Beeson.
Hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
He was a Giant in 2014. We played the Colts in 2014.
Remember in 2018 when Eli had that bomb to Sterling Shepard and we ended up blowing that game?
Yeah, that was fun.
Chester Rogers beat us on a rub route at the end.
That was like I think that was Saquon's first fumble that year. Came against the Colts.
I'm giving myself 2 guesses. I'm going to say John Beeson and/or Sean Williams.
Bobby, do we have an answer from you?
I'm going to say Antonio Pierce. I mean, he played for us for a decent stretch. I'm going to say Antonio Pierce.
All right, so I tried to figure out how to pronounce this guy's name. I already forgot how to say it, but it's from Google Translate. I think this is correct.
Google Translate?
Yeah, don't ask me. It's like Jaquan Williams.
Jaquan
Williams.
Come on,
Jaquan
dude.
Williams. It was Google
on,
Translate.
Super Bowl champ.
You think I care about
This is
Jaquan
making
Williams?
us. This is a bad look right in here.
Dude, you think I'm known for this now? Come on, let's be honest here. He was drafted in the 6th round of the 2011 draft, and he went out in 2014 and had 14 tackles by himself against the Indianapolis Colts back in Week 9 of 2014. And this was another fun fact I learned. Apparently, in that same season against the Seattle Seahawks, he played a game against them with a concussion for 3 quarters.
Wow.
So he had concussion for 3 quarters of that game. They only found out after the game, and the defensive coordinator at the time said, "Oh, nothing seemed wrong with him. He looked like he was fine." And it turns out he was. He had a concussion for 3 quarters.
Shout out Tua. All right, fantasy draft. I'll be picking first, and I am in first place, like I have been for essentially the entire season, right? You know, cool. But Justin was like, I'm catching up to you, blah, blah, blah. I'm 2 points behind. And I got to give Justin and Danny credit. Both those guys had 50-point outings last week. But guess what? I had the season high 64.2 points scored last week in first place. Justin will be picking second and is in second after a 54-point outing. He's 12.4 points back. Danny's 87.5 points back. Now we have an extra week of fantasy, or hopefully we'll have an extra week of fantasy draft this week, but it seems like Justin's or Danny's out of this. I have the first pick. This might end up being the lowest scoring week in fantasy this year because the Colts offense is so bad. Like, there's no good picks. So I'm going to keep it simple. I have the lead. I'm going to play it safe. I think we're going to have a lead for the majority of this game. I am going Saquon Barkley with my first pick. I'm going safe. I wanted to maybe take a swing on one of our wide receivers, but you never know which one's going to hit big, so I went Saquon.
This is the time of year where you have to take big swings.
Oh, by the way, we have surpassed last year's actually I am 1 point away from last year's total for the first place, and we have 2 weeks left in the season. That's how bad it got towards the end of last year.
I love that. This is the time of year where you got to take big swings. I took a big swing against the Eagles, and that game where Bobby called out my draft is where I really came back, and I narrowed a gap of like 40 points down to 2 points. I'm taking Jelani Woods with my second pick.
That is insane. That's not like a big swing. That's just like stupid. You would have gotten him in the next round. That would have been a big swing in the second round. All right, go ahead. Okay. All right, Danny, go ahead.
Where was he on your big board, Bobby? You love sharing that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. And you picked him second.
Yeah.
And this was 7th in a week, whereas like this is a very weak this is a weak draft, you know.
Yeah.
This is Daniel Jeremiah, they're talking about how weak this draft is. And he was 7th. You took him second. Danny, go ahead.
I mean, I thought I was going to take him after.
You're like the Raiders right now. You're tanking.
I thought I was going to be taking Jelani Woods after Justin took either Isaiah Hodgins or Richie James, but I have both those guys at my disposal, and so I'm going to take Isaiah Hodgins first, and then I'm going to take Richie James, because there are basically our offense. Now, you might be saying, go Darius Slayton. I'm not feeling Slayton. I'm just not. And I got nothing to lose at this point. So give me the two guys that have been contributed basically since all season, and since he got here in Isaiah Hodgins.
It depends on the kind of game that if Gilmore covers him. Like, I think whoever Gilmore doesn't cover will have the bigger game. And like I said, he's been playing well. So taking 2 of the 3 Giants wide receivers, I think, is very smart here, Danny. Justin, who do you have on your second pick?
I'm going to take Darius Slayton.
Darius Slayton was second on my big board. I thought about taking Darius Slayton first in this draft. I really did.
So that works out. I wind up taking Darius Slayton in the second round. That works out perfect. And I had the second pick originally.
I mean, the guy averages like less than 3 catches a game. You took him second overall.
Chess, not checkers.
No, this is definitely checkers. This is like checkers when you overthink it and you end up screwing yourself. All right, so I have back-to-back picks. I'm going to take the Colts starting running back, Zach Moss. Mm-hmm. It's just simple. Take their starting running back at this point in the draft. Their passing offense, man, I think is going to be so bad. So it's like I don't even want to take any of their guys, but I'm just going to go with wide receiver 1, Michael Pittman Jr. Like Michael, at least I know I'm taking a good player with my 3rd round pick.
You have to.
And Michael Pittman Jr. So Michael Pittman Jr. is my 3rd round pick. Justin, who are you taking?
Richie James.
No,
already taken. Daniel Bellinger.
Yeah, that's a decent pick here. I still had someone big over him on the big board. Danny, you have back-to-back your last 2 picks.
I'm gonna take Paris Campbell, who I believe he's their slot wide receiver, if I'm correct.
I had high hopes for Paris Campbell coming out of the draft. He was like he inflated Dwayne Haskins' numbers like crazy. Yeah. He was a yak king.
I mean, he had some good weeks.
He's been so injured his entire career.
Yeah. And then there's
one easy pick.
Yeah.
Unless you just want to take a swing on some just hoping some random player gets a touchdown.
I don't. I just gotta pull up his stats real quick. Oh, I'm just on the wrong position. I think I'm taking a Zach Moss.
No,
come on, guys. What is going on?
Oh, Zach Moss.
We're about to play the biggest game of the year. When we're in, and you guys are just off your game. Zach Moss.
I'm riding in the gang. Give me Nick Van Nett. I don't care.
Wow.
Nick Van Nett got, I think, zero.
He did.
He
got absolutely 0 points. But you know what?
He's due for a catch.
He's due for a catch, and maybe the Giants will bench all their starters on Sunday. They're winning.
Totally.
I was gonna big brain it and go Matt Breida, but I didn't do that.
There's still one obvious pick, Justin. Are you gonna take it?
Yeah, it's Alec Pierce.
Yeah, he's just starting wide receiver. Here's where there's no good pick. So they're starting tight end. He didn't practice on Thursday. Kylan Granson. But I kind of want to take Deion Jackson for the fun fact. But he didn't get any carries last week. But Kylan Granson doesn't even get stats when he plays.
You probably wish Jelani Woods was still here, don't you?
Stop this.
Yes, I do wish Jelani Woods was available for the last pick in the draft. I'm going to take Deion Jackson. He did get 12 carries versus the Vikings 2 weeks ago. Deion Jackson, Duke gang. I got to stick with my Duke gang guys, right?
Duke gang.
All right, to recap, I have Saquon Barkley, Zach Moss, Michael Pittman Jr., and Deion Jackson. Justin has Jelani Woods, Darius Slayton, Daniel Bellinger, and Alec Pierce. And then Danny has Isaiah Hodgins, Richie James, Paris Campbell, and Nick Van Nett. Here's where I don't feel good is that I wanted to get out of this with one of the Giants receivers. And I didn't get any of them. And I have both Colts running backs, which I don't know how well that's going to produce. I guess a bad Giants run, and then Saquon, who can, Saquon's capable of having duds, but he's been more involved in the receiving game. So I am frustrated I didn't come away with a Giants receiver. This is a week I didn't want the first pick, let's be real. All right. Giant factors. I am going first this week. I'm keeping it simple, though. I'm going Evan Neal. man, this passing offense can be a lot better if you just play like an average tackle. And you are really struggling right now. You are playing like a bad right tackle right now, Evan Neal. I need you to get to where like make some improvements, man, and get to like an average tackle play or even slightly below average, because this offense is capable of a lot more if you can get to that point. And as we get into the playoffs, man, like, yeah, it's just going to the playoffs cool for the Giants this year? Yeah. But guess what? I'm a big believer of winning. You know, I want to win games. So as we get into this playoffs, man, we need you to step up. Evan Neal, you are my Giant factor. Week 17 versus the Colts. Also, I hate that there's 17 games this year. I was used to Week 17 being the last game of the season. My Week 17 Giant factor is Evan Neal. Justin, who's your Giant factor?
My Giant factor is going to be Richie James. He was on everybody's shit list there for a couple weeks. Obviously had a bad drop against the Vikings, but he has shown some pretty good chemistry with Daniel Jones throughout the season. And for what we all expected Richie James to be throughout the summer and, you know, throughout the early part of the regular season, Richie James with 50 catches on the year, almost an 80% catch rate, 3 touchdowns, a lot of them irrelevant. And I believe he's also creeping up on 500 yards as well, 493 on the year. So Richie James in a game in which we need you, man. We need you to be that reliable target for Daniel Jones on third downs or even early downs. Now that we're starting to throw the ball more on first and second down, Richie James, you are my Giant factor. Don't make the Giant mistake. Be the consistent player that I know you can be.
Danny King.
I really can't believe both guys that I was thinking of my Giant factors were taken right there. I thought, wow. But that's besides the point. I'm going to go defense because the main goal of this week is slowing down just not allowing Indy to get anything going, because they already suck offensively. If they have a good week this week, that's problematic on so many levels. So I'm just gonna. There's no one crazy. I'm just gonna keep it kind of simple. I'm just gonna go with our guy Julian Love. Because I believe our whole defensive line is going to be able to feast on the Colts. That's not the point there. Julian Love, just go out there and just continue being you. You're still in a contract situation. There's rumors the Giants may offer him an extension. It might still be true that at the end of the season he does get that contract extension. But Julian Love, just go out there, keep balling. Get an interception this week. Let's have an interception because we had a few opportunities last week and missed out on them. So Julian Love, go out there, be a guy, be a Giant factor. Get a pick. Make Nick Foles look silly. That's the ultimate goal of the week.
I want to be like the teams that played the Giants last year, where you could just like laugh at how bad their offense is. That's what I want for the Giants this week. Like, let's make it not even a freaking contest. Let's make Colts fans be like, man, the defense wasn't all that bad. It's just the offense just makes it impossible. That's what we need. We need a Jake Fromm performance out of the Colts. All right, spread picks. Getting down to it. Myself and Justin are tied for first, 60-61. Justin went 6-2. I went 4-4 last week. Danny King and the listeners are tied for last place, 57-64. The listeners went 5-3. Danny went 3-5 last week. But first, spread picks are brought to us by who, Danny King?
I mean, I'm having a rough week with the spread picks, but a rough year in general. But you want to know who's not having a rough
year?
You
have been doing bad spread picks ever since I gave you credit and being like, all right, dating back to last year, Danny King's against the spread is insane. It was like 68%. And now you are struggling.
Yeah, so that's just how it is. I
screwed it up for you.
You did, but I'll take that because DraftKings Sportsbook is not struggling. They are the official sports betting partner of the NFL, and they are my go-to when betting on the NFL this holiday season. Is it the easy and fast payouts? I mean, who doesn't like that? Is it the player prop options? There are too many player prop options for me to even choose. Same game parlays? Of course, the same game parlays. Who doesn't love a good old same game parlay? Because right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Right now, everyone can earn up to a 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same game parlays. Right now, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, and combine multiple bets like which team will win, player props, point totals, and whatever else your heart desires. The more legs you add, the bigger the boost, the bigger your shot to win big. You should go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code JOHNBOY. Place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code JOHNBOY, JONBOY. I'll just keep doing that till the end of time. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions applies. See show notes for details.
All right, final Thursday night football of the year, man. This NFL scheduled a lot of primetime games this year that ended up turning into busts that looked really good before the season. Final Thursday night football game of the year. Don't watch the halftime show. Don't watch the post-game show. Cowboys at
Why?
Panthers. I don't know. Maybe I'm holding a grudge. Cowboys
tough.
at Panthers plus 13. Josh Dobbs is starting for the Titans and not Malik Willis, not Ryan Tannehill. Trust me, I am a big believer of like the Cowboys. You know, I know they beat the Eagles, but this Titans team. They're not playing anybody. Like they're essentially resting for the Jags game next week. I'm gonna go Cowboys minus 13. Cowboys, if you don't cover the spread, it's embarrassing. Justin, who are you going?
Yeah, I'm with you. The cow. This is one of those where it's like I want to be smart and I want to say, oh no, Cowboys are gonna, or Titans are gonna cover, but they're not. Give me Cowboys here.
All right, so me and Justin are guaranteed to go into Sunday with the same record. Danny, who do you got?
Yeah, it's quite funny that this game means absolutely nothing for the Titans. That just really
And
makes
really
me
the Cowboys either.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they can technically
they can still win the East. I think
win
right?
the East, but it's not going to happen, right?
The Eagles are playing the Saints. They're going to start Jalen Hurts. That's the point. Titans. No. Cowboys.
Listeners represented by Daniel Swigehart are going Titans plus 13.
I love it.
You know, I respect it. The number's too big. We're going to look like idiots come Friday morning.
Yes.
I kind of hope for it because actually I don't. I want to win. All right. This game for first place in the NFC South.
Oh boy.
Panthers at Bucks minus 3. Danny, who do you got?
Man, this game is fun. I mean, the Panthers absolutely destroyed the Lions last week. It wasn't even close. But I mean, the Bucks just find a way. They just find a way to get it done. But you know what? I'm riding Steve Willis in the hot hand, right? Steve Wilkes, not Willis. I don't know what I'm talking about. Give me the Panthers.
I was going to say, like, the Bucks really haven't... I mean, I guess they did last week. I'm also going the Panthers. Like, the Bucks team is just bad, and I just got a feeling the Panthers are going to pull this out. The listeners agreed. Justin, are you going against the grain?
Yeah, I'm going to go against the grain. The Bucks just find a way to get it done, and it never looks pretty.
They suck. Vikings at Patriots minus 3. Or not Vikings. Dolphins at Patriots minus 3. This is a tough game, man, because Tua's not playing, but I can see Bill Belichick... Here's where the Panthers or the Patriots are so hard to pick every single week, guys, is their defense is so good, but their offense is so bad. So you have two sides of the ball that are just total polar opposites. And then when they play a team like the Dolphins that can be so high and low, and they have their backup QB, it's like, I don't know what to do. But the Dolphins didn't do very well with Bridgewater early in the year, so I'm going to go Patriots minus 3. I'm just going to bet on the Patriots defense in December, in January. So I'm going Patriots minus 3. Justin, who you got?
Yeah, I'm also going to go Patriots too, especially with the backup quarterback.
But it's one of the better backup QBs in the NFL, though, and Teddy.
Yeah, I know, but I'm going to trust Bill.
Listeners are going Dolphins. Danny, are you going with your friends or your other friends, the listeners?
The Dolphins have a 3-5 record on the road this year. Not a very good road team, and coming up to New England, I think that will continue. Even though they are awful, Mac Jones is a dirty player. Let's make that clear.
He actually is a dirty player. Like, people
crazy.
overreact to social media clips. He's an actual dirty player.
Yeah, I couldn't believe the clip again. Actually, no, I can't because it's Mac Jones. Give me the Patriots.
It was versus Eli Apple, though, which was kind of funny.
That was the thing.
Jets at Seahawks plus 1. Either this game... Actually, I'm going to say Vikings-Packers is game of the week. Besides Monday Night Football, obviously. Who do you got in this one, Justin?
Jets. Seahawks offensive line has been really, really bad the last couple of weeks. So I think the Jets are going to eat Geno Smith alive.
That could happen, but the Seahawks are at home, a lot on the line, and I'm not part of the Mike White fan club, so I'm going to go Seahawks plus 1. They end the skid. For
the Seahawks to be home, this is basically just almost a pick'em game. This is a pick'em game.
Yeah, plus 1's pick'em. Listeners are agreeing with Justin. Danny, who are you going?
I will also be agreeing with Justin because the Jets have their savior. That's like half sarcastic, half true. Mike White back. They're gonna go on a run because everything is still out in front of the Jets by some miracle. By some miracle, those fans are being teased.
49ers at Raiders plus 10. I was just looking for an 8th game, and we could just give quick Derek Carr comments. Josh McDaniels is a horrible head coach. Should be fired. Should have never been hired. Like, how did the league fall for Josh McDaniels again? 49ers minus 10. Danny.
Yeah. 49ers -10. The Raiders suck, and they started Jarrett Stidham, if I'm correct.
Jarrett Stidham is one of the worst. Not just a backup QB. I think Jarrett Stidham probably is one of the worst backup QBs in the NFL.
Yeah, and they're gonna lose Devontae Adams this offseason. There we go. Boom. He's leaving.
Listeners are going Raiders though. Justin, who are you going?
Oh God, guys.
I'm going 49ers. They should have traded Derek Carr this past offseason.
Benching Derek Carr is like they did him dirty. And I'm not even a big Derek Carr fan.
No, they did. They 100% did him dirty.
100% did. The Raiders failed
They
him.
should have just traded him this offseason. Because then they also went out and traded for Devontae Adams. Why did you do that?
It was like McDaniel. I don't think McDaniel's ever wanted Carr, but because of McDaniel's history with forcing Jay Cutler out because he wanted Matt Castle, and then Jay Cutler finding out and throwing it was kind of like, and Carr, after what happened with the Raiders last season, all the stuff that went down with him, and he just became like the face of the franchise and handled it well. It was like you couldn't move off of him. But I don't know. Game of the week outside of Monday Night Football. Vikings at Packers -3.5, man. I don't be surprised if this Packers team gets into the playoffs. But you know what? They're not that great of a team. I'm going Vikings +3.5. But this was the most tough game I had picking. Justin, who you got?
I got Vikings -3.5.
The Vikings have +3.5.
I'm Packers -3.5. That's what. Yeah. But
okay.
Packers.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers pulls it off. Listeners are going Packers as well. Danny, what are you going?
I just can't not pick Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to win, even though the Vikings might keep it close. I don't know. The Vikings are kind of mid right now, and I think the Packers could take advantage of that midness.
Yeah, and that's the thing is,
Aaron Rodgers.
I do believe, and I think the Packers are going to win this game by 3 points. And then so if it was Packers -1.5, I probably would have picked the Packers, but I think they're going to win by 3 points. Steelers at Ravens -2.5. Danny, who do you got?
I really can't believe this is the Monday night game. I'll keep it not
This
Monday night
is
game,
Sunday
Sunday night game. I mean, Ravens are the favorite for backup quarterback. Steelers got Kenny Pickett. Yeah, give me the Steelers +2.5.
Justin.
Ravens.
Not the Ravens. The listeners are going Steelers, and I am going Steelers too, because never underestimate Mike Tomlin trying to not go under 500 for a season. He needs this game. He needs this game. Never been under 500. He's going to pull it out. Steelers. And then Monday Night Football, the best Monday Night Football game, possibly of the year. They saved the best for the last. Bills at Bengals. Danny, are you circling the wagons?
Yeah, I got to circle the wagons. I mean, the Bengals have been unstoppable recently, but I mean, the Buffalo Bills are still the Buffalo Bills. I just gotta rock with the man Josh Allen until I just can't rock with him no more.
Justin.
I'm gonna go Bengals.
There we go. I'm going Bills Mafia, baby. We pull this one out. They lost La'el Collins for the year. Listeners are going Bills. Bam. Here we go. All right. Big week. Let's go. All right. Only 2 weeks left for this. Like, we don't count playoff records for the Spread Picks champion. All right. Danny King, what's your prediction for Giants-Colts?
So much on the line. It's pretty cool that the Giants can possibly clinch in front of their home crowd. I hope they do, and they should. And they've been gifted an opportunity, but there's always just the bad side of me that thinks maybe they might fumble it. I'm gonna be there. That might really fumble it. That's a whole other. I've never had so much comments say begging me not to go. It's the funniest thing in the world. The Giants are gonna win. They're gonna. I feel like it might be like a Texans type of game. I forgot to score that game, but I think they'll give the Colts some life and just let them do some things. I'm gonna say the Giants will not score 30 points. They're just not allowed to in this current day and age. 27 to the Colts 13.
Justin.
Giants will win 27-16. We will not get 30 points. I thought earlier in the week that I would. This would be the game to pick 30 points. I think we get close yet again, but the Giants do win, and we have a nice afternoon.
I mean, it's a must. You lose this game, man, and it's time to melt down. Like, we don't even give a damn about the playoffs if you lose to the Colts. You know, we'll talk about the playoff scenarios, and we're going to want to go to the playoffs. But I kind of hate the whole, like, oh, if you can't beat the Colts, you don't deserve it to be in the playoffs. Because it's like, you know what? If one game doesn't define a season. But you know what? If you don't beat the Colts, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. This team sucks too bad. Win this damn game. Okay? Win this game. Win some games. Let's go to the playoffs. Let's make this a party. Let's have a party at MetLife on Sunday. If you're in the area, go. If you're not in the area, go. And the Giants will win 77-0. And we're going to be celebrating a victory podcast. Yeah, we've done that a few times, right, Bobby? But your first ever, we are going to the playoffs podcast and talking Giants history. Giants 77, Colts 0. We appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for all the support. Let's see you on Monday after a game. Let's win some games, and let's go Big Blue.